Hi, my name is Jordan Ramirez, and you are listening slash watching a brand new episode of Film Talk with Jordan Ramirez. And here with me is a special guest for this podcast episode, Don Gleason, the CEO of Achieve New Heights LLC. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate it. This is a great opportunity to be here today. I
Thank you
appreciate it.
so
And I'm
much.
looking forward to the conversation. I love conversation. That's what makes these so much fun.
It is, and I do love conversations as well. Now, the film that Don has chosen for today's episode is the 2009 Oscar-nominated film Up in the Air, directed by Jason Reitman, based on a novel by Walter Kern, starring George Clooney, Vera Farmiga, and of course, Anna Kendrick. So,
Uh,
this one is a pretty fascinating film for me to watch. So, why did you choose this movie for this episode?
yeah, there's as I think about the different movies that we really like, there's something in it that really resonates with us, right? It's kind of like a past experience or a dream or something like that. And what really resonated with me is it's an interesting piece that he's hired by companies to fire people.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the road all the time. I mean, literally like 50 weeks. And from 2014 to 18, I was on the road about 96% of the time. I
Wow.
might be home every sixth or seventh week for part of the week, but I was still working. And sometimes you think, well, that's pretty cool life, right? That's fun. You're getting to see all these things. But it's the one scene where he's talking to a gentleman, he's letting him go, and the guy's all ticked off, as you would expect. They call you in for a meeting. He said he's not even with the company. He says, we're laying you off. Here's a package, stuff like that. And he's pretty ticked. And
Mm-hmm.
George Clooney, his character, looks at him and says, this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity for you to get back to what you really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, kind of like, you know, almost like FY, right? Like, yeah, screw you, buddy. And he says, no. He says, when did you give up on your dream about being a chef? And I kind of looked at him and he says, what do you mean being a chef? He goes, most people when they intern in college and as a young professional, they go to Starbucks or they go to Freddy's or something, they get a job. But you went to Paris to a top end restaurant and you interned. You had a passion for cooking.
Mm-hmm.
He says, how much did they pay you to give up that dream? He says, $27,000. He says, when are you going to get back to it? He's like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But And the reason that resonates with me is because I work with people in Achieve New Heights and as a career transition coach to help them really focus in on what they really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of us are just like that gentleman in the movie who's getting fired, and he hasn't really thought about what his dream was for years and years and years. He just got into a job. He's doing it. He's making good money. He's making toys. He's got a house. Maybe he's got a family. Everything says that he's really, really successful. But deep inside, he's saying, no, I'm really not that successful. This isn't what I wanted out of life, right? For me, I think back to fifth grade with First Earth Day. I think back to getting my bachelor's and then master's in environmental engineering. I wanted to clean America's waters.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to stop pollution from wastewater treatment and water treatment plants and all those kind of things. And I got to do that through my first 10 years or so in the Air Force. And when I came back after retiring out of the military after 27 years, I got to do it for another couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so that scene just resonates with me. And it's that struggle internal to these people who are being let go of, is this really a neat opportunity, a new opportunity, an opportunity for me to reinvent myself or not? And
Mm-hmm.
even when you get into Ryan's, George Clooney's character, um, he meets this young lady and they start to fall in love. And
Mm-hmm.
for her, it's just a fling. For him, it's something serious because he realizes that he wants something more, right? It's kind of like him now living into that piece of, I'm tired of living on the road. I want a family. I want somebody that I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
His uh, his his family, they got a wedding going on, and he flies her up, and they spend the weekend. And he's
Mm-hmm.
starting to see that wedding piece. He's like, maybe I want more out of life. So to me, the whole movie is around that piece of what's more in life? What do I really want?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's what really gets me, right?
Yeah, I do feel that way because as you watch the film, um, because as I watched the film, I didn't know that this part of I know it's a satire. I didn't know that his job is basically that he was hired by these different clients and companies to fire people. I thought, does this job exist, or was this something invented by the storyteller? Is what I was thinking. I don't know if that part of the job exists. Do you know
Ah,
that?
it's unfortunate today, but that's exactly what does happen. Some
Okay.
the companies don't have enough cojones,
Mm,
enough pride, or enough guts to face their employees face to face and
mm,
lay them off personally. I mean, look what's happening over the last couple of weeks, couple of months. People are
mm,
waking up in the morning and getting a letter from the company that says, "Don't bother coming to work today. You've been laid off. You got a severance package of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever it might be, and we're going to
mm.
send you a code. Just mail your computer back.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything more." It's like,
Yeah.
really? You don't even have the guts to face me face to face and
Mm,
talk to me? That, but that's a lack of leadership. John Maxwell talks about he's leadership sad
mm,
because there's just a lack of leadership in companies today. And
mm.
that's exactly the kind of stuff he's talking about. You don't lay somebody off via an email. You
No.
face them face to face. You give them feedback. You let them know what's going on. You spend time helping them get to the next level, right? I thought about writing a book called V8 Leadership. There's
Mm,
8 essential ways to lead people in companies. And the last one was about sometimes you have to let people go. But do you let them go because you can't give them any more in your company and you're faulting them to the next step? Or they don't fit in your company and you're trying to help them get to some place where they are productive.
yeah.
But you don't just kick them out the door. So
Mm.
anyway,
No, no, it's fine. I mean, before I never heard of this type of occupation that exists because I never imagined that this exists in real life. But let's continue to Anna
sure.
Kendrick's character, which I thought was a pretty interesting transition because she is a young up and coming person and she introduces this novel idea that nowadays it feels not so novel anymore. The idea of using the teleconference call to basically fire off different employees, which I thought was sort of predates Zoom, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, predates the Zoom call. But I thought it was a pretty interesting relationship between the more experienced person like George Clooney's character, Ryan Bingham, and of course the young and inexperienced person like Natalie, who never had done something like this before. But I also thought the interactions between the employees that they laid off and also what the type of reactions they were getting, I thought that was so real. And just to put this up, because I looked this up for the movie on IMDb, I read that the director of the film, Jason Reitman, he was the one who basically had filmed the employees who were fired off because George
Oh,
Clooney and
really?
Enda. Yes, that was Jason Reitman behind
Uh,
the employees, the actual employees who were fired in that one montage sequence in the beginning, the middle, and close to the end of the picture. So because they they didn't want George Clooney and Anna Kendrick to actually see what type of reactions these employees would get for that sequence. And they originally marketed it as basically a documentary, not realizing that this was intended for a narrative feature film. So I thought that was a pretty impressive note that I looked up.
yeah, that's
But
good. I appreciate you doing that and sharing that. I did not go that deep into it. So good, well on you.
yes, thank you so much. That's why I like to discuss about this film, which I thought was pretty interesting. But I also noticed that this film is supposed to take place, I think, during the aftermath of the '07 and '08 recession, which is what I got from the timeline of this historical context of the picture. And I also noticed not only does he get to go to these different companies, place to place, and he also it's so heavily promoted by Hilton, Marriott, Homewood Suites, and of course American Airlines, which is prominent in the film because he always uses an American airline card, a credit card, and his goal I remembered in this one sequence between him and Anna Kendrick was that his goal was to get 10,000 miles so that he could earn this sort of reward, which is something that I thought was amazing and I thought pretty interesting. Um, But I also thought it was a pretty interesting that he also is a motivational speaker. He does this thing called like
Mhm.
what's in your backpack. And I
Yep.
thought, yes. And I thought, does this actually exist in real life that not only you can be involved in career transition, but you could also be a motivational speaker for whatever type of topic it is that you try to get out to, like your message out to the world? Like, does that type of, and I don't know if it was similar to what you do in your experience is what I'm asking.
It it is very similar to that. So as I help walk people through, what they want to do, you've got to walk back in their life. Of course, their skills and their strengths and their interests, but you got to find their experiences. And I like that analogy. I thought it was another piece that I really liked about the movie
Mm,
because I'm working to become a motivational speaker, right?
mm,
But
mm-hmm,
I don't want to make it all about the speaking. I love the coaching aspect. I love the one-on-one, which is kind of, if you step back to what you said a minute ago, the dichotomy of here's George Clooney's character arguing with the
mm-hmm,
company who's now taking the firing virtual, you
mm-hmm,
know, the owning company, the employing company is already disconnected from it and hired somebody to fire him. George Clooney's character is trying to make that personal, but his company now takes it virtual.
mm-hmm,
And like you said, they're not even looking at the individual's face anymore. They're just
mm-hmm.
handing him a package. Here's things to fill out. And he's fighting to keep it more personal.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that what's in your backpack, right? He's got an urge to help people find that next thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm working on is I may steal his idea about the backpack, right? What's in your backpack?
Yeah.
My buddy has one. He does put the oxygen mask on first,
Mm-hmm.
right? Allergy, if you're in a plane and you lose cabin pressure, put your mask on first, and then you can help others. And it really goes back to what John Maxwell talks about: is you can't give people what you don't have.
Mm.
If you're not a good leader, you can't help other people be good leaders, right? If you're
Yeah.
not a good accountant, you can't help other people be a good accountant or whatever, engineer, whatever you want to say it. So as you think about that piece of it going virtual, he's fighting to keep it more personal as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an interesting dichotomy as you see different things going on in the movie.
Yeah, I mean it is very much a film that I feel is pretty relevant when I see the film today because it doesn't feel like, I mean there may be a few things dated here and there, but the whole message, the whole idea, the whole themes that I saw throughout this entire picture, it feels entirely relevant today because you could
Mhm.
try to use that case study and try to put it into today's perspective because everything that is discussed in the film, whether it, as you mentioned, like the whole virtual aspect of it versus the personal aspect of it, I think is something that I think we need more of. And I also loved the idea of having not only the inexperience versus the experience, the relationship to see the two between the
Mhm.
two, but I also loved that, as you said, the what's in your backpack as a metaphor, which I thought was a pretty
Mhm.
clever idea. But also in this film, because since I had previously studied in literature and also in film criticism, this film has a lot of the motif of flying like
Mhm.
airports. He goes to airports, he goes to hotels. Uh, One scene where he talks to Danny McBride's character because it's his sister's wedding and the groom to be has cold feet. He said,
Yep.
let your let your partner be your co-pilot," which I thought is it's perfect because it fits into the whole airplane symbolism metaphor, which I
Mhm.
think makes it so universal in this film, which I thought it fits the narrative, it fits the symbolism, the motifs, and it's
That's
very
right.
clever and it's very easy to understand when you watch it all the way through.
Yeah. When you watch it initially, it's a very almost shallow kind of movie. But when
Mm-hmm.
you stop and you think about some of those different aspects and the analogies that are there and dig a little bit deeper into the characters and what they're thinking about what they're doing, it really is a deep movie.
It
And
is.
that's why I think it really resonated with me. So I'm glad you enjoyed it as well.
Yes, thank you. And it's a pretty impressive pick. It was part of the 2010 Oscar nominated films that were nominated from 2008, 2009. Out of curiosity, did you read the novel for which this film was based off of?
I did not. Nope.
Oh,
I've been so busy working on personal growth books with John Maxwell and Simon Sinek and so many others and building my business that I've not picked up other books, which I need to do.
no, no, it's fine. It's just out of curiosity. But yeah, it's a great film. It's Jason Reitman's, I think one of his best films, that he both co-wrote and directed. And I thought he's very good at his satirical wit. Just coming off of his films such as Thank You for Smoking and his 2007 Oscar-winning film Juno, which came out in 2007, and some of his
Mm,
other satirical films as well. He has a great intellectual idea for satire and also for interesting character dramas that I think he's very good at in this type of genre. And he's very good at
yeah.
developing what I liked about his characters, especially in the relationships, not just between the older and the younger, but also between the character of Alex and Ryan Bingham, which I thought was pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, you were saying that your favorite before we started recording, your favorite was that proposal scene.
Uh,
Say a little bit more about why that was your favorite.
because as I watched the film, I noticed that Ryan, he always travels alone. He never has a companion to be with. And I could say that it's somewhat personal to me because I had been in love once and and I just feel like if there was a need to be with a companion, somebody I would like to be with, as as he said, like my co-pilot, it would be nice just to have that experience of not being so alone anymore. But that's what I like about the relationship that I thought they had in the picture, until that revelation very much later in the story when it turned out she was with a family, she was with somebody, and I just thought it was like that moment when he thought he had that one person whom he could connect to, just literally just literally be thrown away, and it just, like grab, he
Yep,
thought he would grab it and it just got away from him.
yep.
Yeah, so I do like
That's
those
that's a good scene.
yes, and it's very personal to me, and I love those types of moments. But I also like the dialogue as well. It's between him and it's mostly between Ryan and Alex. And I like that one scene, as you mentioned, where they had that sort of a one-time fling where they just, they had the same laptops, they were typing, and they were almost like they were sort of in a strategy. It almost felt like they connected to each other, like they knew what they were thinking, they knew what they were going to do, and I thought they could have been perfect for each other, but they
That's right.
weren't.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, I, Alex having the affair, obviously something in her life is missing, right? Right. She's
Yes.
got the kids, she's got the husband, she's looking for something more. He's looking for something more.
Yeah.
And so many people today are looking for something more.
Yeah.
So
I
and
mean,
that's why so many things happen, right? Which sometimes we don't look inside of our own neighborhood, our own world. We look outside. And
yeah. I mean, I could relate to that because I do feel like I want to see if I can reach out for something more instead of just, as you put it, look into something that maybe I wanted. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a very interesting and very personal film to watch. So,
yeah.
now that we have mentioned it, the film, so what is Achieve New Heights, and what is your job as the CEO of this company that you are in charge of? So, just to
Oh,
give
you
my
bet.
audience a little bit of maybe if they're interested in career transition, maybe they could be interested. So, what is it that you do?
Yeah, so it really started in the realm of leadership, right? I talked a little bit ago about wanting to do environmental. And as I progressed through my Air Force career and then into corporate career, what I found I really enjoy is leadership positions. And even right now I'm out in Arizona and I'm taking care of my 4.5-year-old grandson with my wife. This
Oh.
is something we've wanted to do, right? Is take care of grandkids. It's fun. He's wearing
Hmm.
us out. I tell you what, and he's a ball of energy for 14 hours at 16 hours a day. But so we don't have a problem sleeping, but
Hmm.
um, it's about leadership. It's about helping people. So as I'm here and I'm thinking about could I do this for 20 more years? I'm 65. It's like no, I enjoy that interaction of helping people get to where they want to be. Right? Go back to George Clooney's character, helping them get to where they want to be.
Hmm.
So it started about leadership and helping. and I still do it, help companies develop their leaders. Too often we promote leaders, we promote people who are excellent technicians into leadership positions because they've excelled in the technician realm, but we never train them to be leaders. And leadership is a skill you have to learn. It's a soft skill. And if you don't work on it, develop it, you will micromanage your people, you will dictate to them how things are going, you will not connect with them, and you will not motivate them. Right. So
Yeah.
we've got to have good leaders. But as I got deeper and deeper into that, one of the things I saw was a lot of people, individuals who are struggling with being in that job. They're not enjoying that leadership. I think there's three things you have to really enjoy to be excited in your job: the right role, the right leader, and the right culture. If you're doing the thing that you love to do with a person who really motivates you and helps you bring out in an environment, a culture that lets you be yourself and really bring your whole person to it, you will stay in that job and you will go forward. But if you get in a position where you're just struggling in any of those, then you will not be excited and you'll start looking elsewhere. Look back to Alex, right? She's looking outside the marriage for that relationship, the sex, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I'm there trying to help people who are, as well as helping companies. So that's part of my business, and now helping individuals who are unhappy in that job find that right job. Right, the
Yeah.
backpack analogy. What is the experiences you've had? What do you really want to do? And I take them back and almost help them design a position description. This is the role I want to do. This is the type of leader that I want them to work, that I want to work for. This is the type of culture I want to be within to move forward.
Mm.
And so I'm releasing a digital course here shortly about the career transition process. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
an overview of things that I think need to happen that are not being taught. Certain ones like targeting your resume. Most resumes I see are not targeted.
Mm.
They're just a summary of somebody's career. They don't, the bullet does not have a connection to the job that you're applying for.
Mm.
So if I'm reading your resume and I'm looking for somebody doing contract programming, like in Air Force Civil Engineering, we need somebody who can develop purpose statements for projects and sell them up to higher headquarters. But if all I do is maintain working on a manufacturing line, there's no connection there. So why would I put that bullet in?
Mm.
So we have to rethink how we are building our resumes. It's not a summary of what you've done. It's a summary of how you qualify for the position that you're applying for.
Mm.
And so I'm really bringing those kind of thoughts to change it, to help people, find that right job.
Thank you so much. And I really feel compelled about what you have said very much. So what is the name of your website so that my viewers and listeners could maybe look up if they want to pursue this opportunity of maybe looking at what you have said about?
Yeah. The best way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn
Okay.
through my name is Don, Don, little initial L,
Okay.
Gleason. I'm the only one with the middle initial. Just send me a message and I'll respond back to you. I watch that closely several times a day, and just let me know that you listen to us with Jordan on this show, and
Mm-hmm.
I can have a conversation. My website is just www.achievenewheights.com.
Thank you.
Um, and right now it's being rebuilt, but it should be rebuilt before this goes back up.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I do love this conversation, and I do love the film that you have chosen for us. And I want to thank you again for introducing me to this film. Um, I I really loved the character development. I really loved the message, and I love the conversation that we both have. Not just
Same
as
here.
yes, not just in relation to the movie, but also about how it relates to each and every one of us that do want to have a maybe if one is involved in trying to move away from the career that they thought they were going to have, and then they want to have a career that they do want to have because this was something that they yearned for, this was something that they want to be a part of. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every last one of this every last one of this conversation because it's something that I feel like I pretty much enjoy it because it's
Well,
something
good.
that yeah, and I pretty much enjoy this film. So any last comments or last statements before we wrap up on this episode about this film, about you in general? Just
Well, I would say mega dittos to what you just talked about, right? I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed you and my interaction. I loved learning more about you. You took it deeper by studying the producer and the author. So
Hmm.
it's really, it kind of encourages me to think back beyond just the movie, right? Because the books are always so much better, but even the background behind the books,
Yes.
it tells you so much more. And I would
Yeah.
tell people to reach out for that dream, right? Life is too short, right? We come out of high school at age 18, we want to work till about 55, 60, 65, so about 40 some years in the workforce. Maybe some want to retire early, some don't. But get into what you really enjoy. Find that thing. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's off duty. Maybe it's getting on a board somewhere and helping somebody. And it's outside the job. But
Mm.
find it. But I think also the 40 hours a week that you spend at work, that ought to be in something that you really enjoy, that lifts you up, that when you walk out at the end of the day, you feel energized. You don't feel drained, you feel energized. So you're ready to engage with the family. You're ready to get out and play with the kids. You're ready to go to church and and have involved in a board at the church or an activity at the church, whatever it might be. You want to do that instead of you're just physically beat down and all you can do is go watch TV all night.
Yeah.
So I think I just want to encourage people to do that, and I would love to be part of that with people if they want to give me a call. Uh, uh, my contact information is in LinkedIn, or send me that message, and I would love to have a conversation and see if there's something I can do to help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Don, for being part of this podcast episode. I really enjoyed having you on. And maybe after the episode, maybe we can chat some more. So it would
Yeah,
be, yeah, it would be very fascinating. Maybe if you were to help me out, if there was anything that maybe I was stuck in, whether it's looking for a new career or maybe some tips about what I could do to move forward, that would be very helpful. So I
well,
do
that'd be
want
awesome.
to, yeah, I do want to thank you again for being in this podcast episode. And I do love the film selection, and I enjoyed our conversation. And it's a really great film. For those who have not seen it, it's Up in the Air, released in 2009, directed by Jason Reitman, starring George Clooney, Vera Farmiga, and Anna Kendrick. And I thank you again, Don, for this wonderful choice. And I loved the movie and I loved everything about it. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our episode for today. And again, my guest is Don Gleason. And thank you so much for picking this film for us for today's episode. And I hope that maybe again we might meet in the future someday. Thank you so much. Okay, and this is Jordan Ramirez signing off. And you have been listening / watching Film Talk with Jordan Ramirez. And thank you, Don, for being on this episode. And I hope we see each other soon.
I hope so too.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye.